Top of the day to you all. We're going to go through a quick spiel on just how to cook a roast chook. It's a great little recipe that one of my sisters shared with me. And for those that don't know me, I'm Ranger Nick. How yous all going? Hope you're having a great time out there. And I just want to talk to you first going through the steps of doing a camp oven dinner. So of course the first thing we need to do is light a fire. Now when I'm out and about and camping, I always look around at what trees and what timber's available. Of course some timbers burn different to others. You'll find that you'll get different coals, different heats, all that sort of thing. So I try to choose timber that makes my life a lot easier so I can set the camp oven and forget it, much like I would do when I was younger working up the paddock with the old man, and you had to set the meals and get back to work. So it's a set and forget type of a scenario, and the sort of thing I guess you'd see around a campfire in a stock camp or something to light. So not a lot of fuss, straightforward stuff. You don't need a lot of gear. We just want to have a bit of fun around the fire and produce some really cracking and tasty meals. No fuss. Alright. So when I look for timbers, depending on what areas I'm in, I like outback Australia, outback Queensland, New South Wales. There's some great timbers out there. Those arid areas, the trees grow really slow, the timber's dense, and they seem to hold coals much better. So things like your gidgee, coolabah, ironbark, what a great all-rounders ironbark, and you'll find that mostly over Australia. If we travel down south, we get into things like mallee roots and stuff like that. There's so many different types of timbers. If you get to know them, you'll find that they burn different heats, and as I've said, they hold coals differently. You will find any wood that you pick up will produce heat. If you've got heat, of course, you can cook in and around the fire. To save yourself a bit of work with dodgy coals, some areas you'll run into where the timbers, or especially the east coast, the timbers are quite damp and they grow very quickly, so they're not as dense, and they may produce black coals. Now what I mean by black coals is you'll get a nice fire going, beautiful pile of coals, set your camp oven, and within 15 minutes or so the darn coals have gone black and lost all their heat, so it makes it very hard for cooking. Most people, when I ask what they do in that scenario, say they keep a big fire roaring and try and keep the coals up to the camp oven. A lot of work, doesn't give you a lot of time to sip a beer. So in that scenario, I like to do what I call a beside the fire cook, and if you keep in mind where your fire's been burning, a lot of heat gets permeated into the ground. So I actually shift the fire and set my camp ovens where the fire used to be, because there's a good heat source there right on the ground straight away. Keeping the fire burning about 10 to 12 inches away from the camp oven will give you a consistent heat source. So if the flames are this far away from the camp oven, you're going to get a lot of heat there. Every half an hour, 20 minutes or so, when your fire burns down, rotate your oven, reload the lid, and keep that fire burning about 10 to 12 inches away from the camp oven. You'll find if you do that, it's a lot less work and you'll still get very good results. In the scenario I'm using today, I'm using quite good wood. I've got a bit of a mixture of ironbark and gidgee coal. So gidgee, to my opinion, is God's gift to those who cook. It produces a lot of heat and it holds the coals for a long time. So you get good cook times, good heats, very consistent heats, and it makes life a bit easier. But now in saying all of that, bring yourself up to speed, you'll get a lot better, a lot more consistency with your coals, and it's much easier to control the heat. Your heat control obviously is the key to successful camp oven cooking. Like any oven, if you overheat the oven, whether it be the oven inside the house or the one you're about to put in the campfire, you're going to get too hot and you're going to burn everything. So your heat controls are quite important. I talk to people often about using the knowledge that they use every day in their kitchens at home. So the stuff you're already familiar with, the way that your ovens perform, the way that your food smells and tastes and all the rest is something that you're already familiar with and you use on a daily basis. So if we look at the camp oven once we've set it and give it a bit of time to heat up, You can preheat your ovens, that's entirely up to you. I don't often bother with that because I find it easier to work with just up on the bench here. So I put all my food in, place it in the fire. So give it a bit of time to heat up and just take notice of what it's doing. So if you're watching your oven and it's got smoke billowing out of it, you're going to smell the burn, see the smoke, obviously too hot. Now, if your oven, however, is producing puffs of steam out from under the lid, you'll get a nice smell from the food cooking. You'll hear the food sizzling, especially your roasts and things like that. It's doing all the things that your oven inside that you use on a daily basis is doing. Very likely you're on the right track. Okay, so if it's doing things like that, and I'm talking especially in searing time, so the first half an hour to 3/4 of an hour is an important time. If you can get that correct, it gives you the privilege to walk away from that oven and forget about it. When we generally sear a roast, we put it in our oven or turn the oven up to 200 degrees, place the roast in there, and we sear it for about half an hour on that high heat. After that time, we turn the oven down to around 120, 140 degrees, and we let it cook for an hour per kilo. Generally, that's the basics on how we do a roast, okay? Now, the camp oven obviously doesn't have a knob on it, so we can't turn the heat down to control it. However, if we place the right amount of coals on, it'll get very hot, reach temperatures well over 200 degrees, and the coals are slowly burning down. So it turns itself down, in fact. So as those coals burn down, we'll get that sear, and then a nice long cook time as it cools off. So it gives us a privilege to walk away from the oven. Your food won't burn, your food won't overcook, and you're in no mad rush to get back to it. Okay? Alright, so in saying that, today I'm going to cook a little recipe up that one of my sisters gave me, as I've mentioned, and I'm cooking a chook. Alright, so grab yourself a dead chook, and all we're going to do is empty a tin of chili con carne into the cavity. That's going to act as a stuffing, and it will also marinate the chook as it cooks. So it comes up pretty good. We'll give it a try. I'll get started. First thing I'll do, of course, is wash my hands. So we'll give my hands a quick wash here in the sink. Alright, they are pretty clean. I just want to make sure that they've got no soot and things on. So there you are, that's done. Beautiful thing about camping, and I know the missus gets a bit crook in the kitchen if I do things like this, but there we go, we're done. So one of the things I like about camping, you can be a bit rough. Okay, so rip the scab off your tin of chili con carne, open that cavity on your chook, alright, so make sure it's nice and broad in there, and we're just gonna empty that tin of beans and straight into the cavity. So that's going to give us a nice stuffing. Alright, shake that down. I don't know, pretty much that's full. There's a little bit left there. I'll see if I can fit it in. Alright, that's got most of it anyway. Get in there, bean. Okay, so once that's all emptied into the chook, I'm just going to take some bacon and place the bacon over that cavity and just tuck it into the edges, and all I'm doing there is forming a little scab to stop all that stuffing oozing out. So we'll put a bit that way as well. So I've got 3 pieces of bacon, and of course the lucky ones get a bit of the bacon, and it does taste pretty good with the meal. Alright, everything's better with bacon, they tell me. Alright, so close that up. That's ready to go in the camp oven. It's pretty quick and simple preparation. And I drop that straight in there. Okay, that's our bird set, ready to cook. I've got a few veggies here. Doesn't really matter, whatever your favourites are, but throw your veggies in around it. Come here, there we go. Bit of sweet potato, bit of carrot, few spuds. The humble spud always goes well in every meal. Alright, so we'll drop them in there, and that's going to make things really easy. I'm only using the one oven, got a lot less cleaning up to do, and that's now ready to bang the lid on and set it in the coals. Righto, so we're going to bang the lid on there and set it in the coals. As I said, your heat control is the most important part with cooking your oven, so make sure you get those things right. Now, when I set the oven, and I've talked about using the knowledge that you already have, and your senses are probably one of the best things. Touch is a sense that I probably shouldn't recommend. So to touch a hot camp oven, of course, there's issues with that, isn't there? I generally just feel it every now and then by touching it with the back of my hand, especially in that searing time, the first half an hour to 3/4 an hour, just by touching the side of it. If I can just touch it and can't hold my hand there, I find that's a pretty good heat. If I can hold my hand there for a couple of seconds, 1 or 2 seconds, before I have to pull it away, I find in that time period it's not quite hot enough. Okay, it will cook, but if you want that nice golden browns and nice searing temperatures, I find that that's a good way to tell. I see some people set their camp ovens and do a funny little dance around it and can kind of tell how much heat it's producing just by using these sensitive parts of their body to judge how much heat it's producing. Now, if you do preheat your oven, drop a bit of paper in there. If the paper discolours and goes a nice brown colour, well, that's a pretty good indication that you've got a good heat. If the paper goes black and bursts into flame, it's obviously too hot. If it doesn't discolour, well, it's not quite hot enough. I hope you get the picture with what I'm saying now, and it works really well with baking as well. Okay, now go to set the camp oven. I'll approach the fire here. See, I've got a nice pile of coals here. As I said, this is a mixture of iron bark and gidgee coals, and I find gidgees absolutely fantastic, but both of these timbers are pretty good. So, to not overheat the oven, especially the base, if we overheat the base of any pot, we're going to burn the bottom out of the pot, and that's something we don't want to do. We want to try and avoid, because not only will it maybe burn the food, it means we've got cleaning to do as well. Okay, so I'll take some of these beautiful coals I've got here, and probably with good coals like this, I'll set it away from the fire, and I'll put down probably around about 3/4 of a post hole shovel full of coals on the ground. So that should be suffice to heat the oven up and keep it cooking nicely. So that's a pretty good heat. Alright, so we'll set that oven straight onto those coals, like so, and just load the lid. So plenty of heat on the lid. If it does get too hot, we can always brush a bit of heat off the lid. So if you see smoke billowing out of it, a little bit of smoke is probably okay. And it's likely just to be some of the dripping hitting the bottom of the hot oven. So give it a little while, it should settle down. If not, you'll have to remove a little bit of that heat. But there, we've got a nice loaded lid, some beautiful coals there in place, and in around about 3/4 of an hour to an hour, we'll be on a winner with a chicken dinner. Righto, and as promised, an hour's up. As you can see, the coals have all burnt down. They're getting cooler and cooler. Let's have a better look at this chore. Oh, and beautiful. Look at that one. And there's our bird, ready for dinner. So we're on a winner. I hope that you've got something out of that little spiel and learned a few little tips along the way. I'm ready to eat.